Does dating help or does it hurt the healing process? First, let's take the legal aspect out of this, okay? Let's stick only to your recovery and your grief. Will dating help? It really does depend on the way you're defining dating. If you're defining it as for the purpose of finding another relationship, then no. And if anything, a lot of men, they fall into that category, and within a year of getting back out in the field, they're in another committed relationship. And this is a recipe for disaster because you're gonna run the risk of repeating your prior mistakes. But if you go into it with the perspective of meeting other people, casual dating or serial dating, then sure, of course it's gonna help. And as a matter of fact, it's the number one, the strongest predictor of both a speedy and a more powerful recovery. So you get there faster and stronger, basically. But you have to do this right. So today, keep an open mind because many guys, they have a strong opinion here. And I've seen men swear that nothing's gonna fix their grief because they lost their entire identity in their divorce, only to turn around and say that they're glad it happened in a matter of days. So please keep an open mind here. And I'll begin by giving different reasons as to why it helps, and then with what the research shows. First, by going out there, you're taking control of your life again. It's almost like you're going through a forced acceptance phase. There's a lot of guys that stall when they date. They camouflage it under the cover of they took a vow to that person, but that's the wrong way to think about it because deep down inside, when you're honest with yourself, what you're doing, what you're really saying is that you're holding on to hope. And it's in a relationship that's already gone. You don't need a judge to tell you that your relationship is over. Only one of those two people can make that decision for either one of you. It only takes one of them. By accepting you have to move on, it's a way of accelerating the process of grief. And of course, if you haven't had full closure and you go on dating and suddenly she gets back with you, then there's the issue because you have done something you're gonna regret. But outside of that, if you've already had your closure and if you don't need her permission anymore, then it shouldn't matter and you're helping yourself because you're in a brain-dead relationship. Anything else is just stalling. Second, there's something to be said about the human factor in all this because for God's sake, we underestimate just how important the significance of human morale is. It's our fuel behind our why, and let's face it, despite its huge importance, our morale is never something that we really take into account here. You know why historians say we lost the Vietnam War? Because it turns out that killing communists is not good for our morale. That's actually what the data shows. One of the major reasons why we lost was because of morale. There's tremendous power behind going out in the field and knowing that you're the desired one. It's a huge morale boost, huge. Knowing that you have options, even if you don't follow through on the date, it does something to your psyche because you know that you're gonna be okay. You realize that you're wanted by someone and desired, and you're not that piece of shit you were told you were, and that's an extremely strong position because it gives you leverage when you start dating. Because the more option you have, the less you'll ever settle for the crumbs that she gave you. The sooner you realize that you have options, the sooner your self-esteem increases. And right now what you have is a confidence and self-esteem issue masked over the fear of being alone, and that's not a way to live. Back in my leadership days, one of the first lessons that I learned was the importance of good morale. A good leader will do just about anything to improve his team's morale. And when someone's down, when you're truly hurting and you're at your lowest, just a small little hi from a stranger, as superficial as you think it is, completely changes your perspective. The lower your morale is, the more important the smaller things matter. You know, morale is so powerful, so extremely powerful that I've had guys say to me that they can't go on anymore, that they want their old life back, that they're close to admitting defeat, only to come back to me later in a matter of 24 hours with a complete 180 when they realize that they're not stuck, that they've been bamboozled, that they're not the piece of shit that they told that they were. And their only anger, the only one that they have is at themselves, that they allowed themselves to be treated so fucking bad. You know what that is? It's self-assurance coming to rescue them, and there's power in that. So when someone tells you that you just need to focus on yourself when you're hurting, they're giving you the kind and political correct answer because it's generic to the point that it's a cliche. So you tell them that's exactly what you're doing, that you are focusing on yourself by taking control of what you can control, your life and your future. Next, you got the loneliness factor, and people say that you got to be comfortable being alone, but we all know that being comfortable being alone and feeling lonely are two different things. You can be in a crowded room and feel completely alone, and vice versa. You can be by yourself and feel fulfilled because you have meaning and purpose and morale. That's because when people say loneliness, what they really mean is emptiness, and they want something, anything to fill that void. Because you know what happens to the lone wolf? They go off and die. They fail to thrive. Loneliness is a vacuum where purpose should be. You need purpose and structure, and guess what? Dating gives you both of them because, frankly, it keeps you honest. It keeps you from going down that dangerous rabbit hole of the what ifs. It's not about the date. It's about the bigger picture, personal development. So for those that call it shallow, ask them why. Why is it shallow to want to be validated, to want to be desired? Why is it? Is it because it's dangerous? Because it's dangerous when you don't get it? Because guess what? That's your circumstances right now. It's time to be taking control, and anything else is cowardly and unimaginative. And being comfortable, being by yourself, that's solitary confinement used in prisons to torture you. To find purpose, you need to develop, and dating is a form of development. It's personal development because when you go out there, you interact with an entirely different type of people, and you're gonna be meeting people that you would have never met. This improves your communication style, your presentation style, your frame control, and let you know that you're more in control in your life. Bottom line is you're taking care of your loneliness, your development, you're focusing on yourself, your communication, your self-esteem, which goes way up. You do that and you're gonna skyrocket. On a personal note, the day that I started dating was the day that I realized that I was gonna be okay. It wasn't that I fell in love with somebody right away. It wasn't like that. I just realized that I was wrong about all the fundamental ideas that she had told me that the guy I was. And when you start getting the likes from people, it's not about anything else but knowing that you're more in control than you thought. And it's a beautiful thing. So did it help me? Yes. Out of all the guys that I've coached, I could say without a shadow of a doubt that all of them, it's helped. All of them. Now, let's get to the data. I did this quality of life study asking what the biggest predictors for a man's recovery was, and one of them being if they dated. In this study, the average man scored 61, whereas if they dated, they scored 66, but if they didn't date, they scored 56. Not much difference between the two, only 10 points. But let's break it down further. If the men dated and had a bad outcome dating, that score went down to 52, so it's a substantial loss. On the other hand, if they date and they do well, they go to 81. Huge jump. So this is why it has to be done correctly. This is one of the fastest predictors of how men recover from divorce. Not because they're dependent on someone else, but because they know that they can conquer something, that loneliness, that drive that to continue to move forward. Because you come out of this realizing that you have opportunity and options and that your life isn't over. It goes back to morale thing, and that's the beginning of the momentum moving in your favor, because morale is the most underrated word in the English language because no one stops to ask how your morale is doing.